Can you tell that I'm trying to be a brand? Hello guys, what's the buzz? Last time we learned that people's opinions on classic albums don't really change much. Usually, even on release date, people think that classic albums are, well, classic. We saw that with Good Kid, Mad City, we saw that with some Kanye albums. But what if the album is notoriously bad? We're gonna hop back on Reddit and see how people felt about some notoriously bad albums on day one. As always, I gotta make sure to remind you, this video is sponsored by the subscribe button. Hey, that number went up since last time, but we're still not at that 100K mark. So yeah, press that, press it now. I went deep into the caverns of my mind to think of some albums that deeply scarred me in the last 10 years. And I found a handful of them. The first one, of course, had to be Chance the Rapper's The Big Day. I've never seen an album that was instantly hated as much as this one, but also had this long-term effect of every time you think of a bad album, you think of this one, which is pretty messed up if you're Chance the Rapper. You make one misstep and now everyone's clowning on you. One time I heard a theory, it's because Chance the Rapper's independent and the industry wanted him pushed away, so all these people reviewed it as a bad album, and it's not actually bad, but it is actually bad. But checking Spotify, I have 3 songs from this album saved, so maybe it's not horrible. Let's check the comments. How can a 1 hour 17-minute album be 3 hours too long? That's brutal, man. If Chance ever gets divorced, he gonna drop a classic. I remember there was that one scandal of him dancing with another woman. We were really close though, we were really close. Just got a Charmin toilet paper jingle ad and legit thought it was a track on this album. What does that sound like?
Cause my hand is clean. Oh yeah, I'm Charmin clean.
That would have been the 4th song I saved from this album. Fantano's Red Flannel is gonna send Chance stands on Suicide Watch. If they only knew. I have a feeling this won't grow on me since I never want to listen to it again. This album is an hour and 17 minutes of Chance jerking himself off. What? There's like 3 guys in the world that can pull off 20 songs. Chance ain't one of them. That's a pretty valid opinion. I haven't heard many 20+ song albums that I actually enjoy. I think the last one that I somewhat tolerate is Migos Culture 2. But that's just because I'm stupid. 216 on The Big Day has me laughing hysterically.
They're the only way to survive.
Yeah, that's one of those songs my brain has suppressed all these years. Over under 15 Jesus references. Yeah, there's a lot of that type of jokes in this comment section, but if I do recall, The Big Day was very much not as religiously influenced as The Coloring Book was. Maybe that was the problem. We gotta check out the controversial in this one. Ain't no diamonds in the chain, but it's independent. You know the album's rough when that's being praised. This is ass. This man has fallen off so hard. Please stop praying and start taking acid again. Yeah, let's move on. Lil Yachty's Teenage Emotions had a similar impact on me that Chance the Rapper did, but maybe even worse. This was Yachty's debut album after his Lil Boat mixtape after he initially blew up. He didn't really click for me at first, but that mixtape did grow on me eventually. And I kind of became a Yachty defender at this point. Mind you, this is like 2017. But then he hit us with Teenage Emotions. How can I miss the old Yachty when he's only been around for 2 years? The Lil Boat mixtape did capture that childlike kind of joy and feeling in music form, which he pretty much fully abandoned on Teenage Emotions. It's kind of crazy to think that this is the guy that eventually made Let's Start Here. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Album lengths are rap's Achilles heel. Ain't nobody want to hear Yachty struggle, mumble, and croon for an entire 1 hour and 9-minute runtime. I am glad we kind of got out of this era. I partially blame QC, Yachty's label, for this. All of their artists specifically started pumping out these huge albums for like streaming fodder to get a lot of streams. The more songs you have on an album, the more overall streams you're gonna have. I think this has now changed to people dropping more projects throughout a year. I don't know. Halfway through this and I can confidently say I'll never listen to it again. Other than like Peekaboo Man, I don't go back to this album. I feel like this album is kind of make it or break it for Yachty. At the time, it did feel like that. I felt like he was just gonna disappear after that. A huge part of why Lil Yachty's so popular is his personality. He seems like a cool, goofy dude that's kind of relatable to people. So despite people not really enjoying his music, they could gravitate to that. So eventually when the music quality picked up again, people were all for it. Yachty is like Logic, except instead of rapping about being biracial, he raps about being positive. What does that even mean, man? I feel like I couldn't do this specific video without going into Vultures 1 by Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign. At the time of recording this video, this album's been out for like 10 days, and a lot of people have mixed opinions on it. Me as well. Some songs have grown on me and some songs are still complete skips, but overall it's a pretty mixed feeling about it. So let's see what these guys had to say. Playboy Cardi and Travis Scott crossing paths with JPEG Mafia was unthinkable not too long ago. As always, one of the coolest parts about Kanye releases nowadays are the random collabs that happen. Cardi on Peggy drums is just something else. Man, these vocals are just terrible, awful. I thought Burn was cool, but the vocals were too bad. I don't know if it's a mixing thing or just the quality of the recording. I feel like I've seen a lot of videos from the recording of this album, and it's just Kanye in a crowded room on a mic just yelling into it. Like,
I'm me too, my marriage. What a bitch somebody come back with her.
How is that ever gonna sound good? So nobody gonna talk about the Nip feature? I know Nip wasn't rocking with Ye before his death. I feel like there hasn't been much posthumous Nipsey Hussle stuff released. I don't know what I expected from a posthumous Nipsey feature, but feeling juice through the latex was not it. Best hip hop album in a long time. Come on now. This new sounding Kanye sounds so soulless. I actually feel this a little bit. Other than Burn, where he sounds like vintage Ye, a lot of the song just sounds like a robot version, like an empty ass version of Kanye. It's like Christmas Day, except I have to slap the shit out of my little brother for playing his Switch and lacking the song qualities. Bro, get off the Burger King Wi-Fi. What are you doing? You know this one had to happen. Eminem's Revival, possibly his worst project. Universally panned by fans and critics, it kind of caused Eminem to have like a self-reflection moment and low-key improved his music since then. Let's see what people were saying on release day. Imagine having Westside Gunn and Slaughterhouse on the payroll and going in with Pink and Skylar Grey features. Oh god. I know Griselda's time on Shady wasn't necessarily great, but Eminem really didn't fucking utilize them at all. Rick Rubin is the worst thing that happened to Eminem's music since Rehab. Are we really gonna blame Rick Rubin for Eminem's downfall? Just because he got Eminem to rap over some rock instrumentals? On this specific album, it came down to his delivery, his lyrics, and like just his flows being awkward. The production wasn't even like the worst part about it. This makes Encore seem like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Oh boy. 2 Chainz would have been incredible on Chloroseptic. Did this guy predict the remix? What? Eminem got me through high school. I will support this man even through the shit. For some reason, this feels like the most scathing criticism. I think most modern hip hop fans have had an Eminem phase at some point, especially if you're, you know, white. I'm not an Eminem hater. I don't really listen to much of his newer stuff, but yeah, this album was pretty hard to defend. In 100% honesty, I think this is the worst album ever made. Come on, no, it's not the worst album, but why is Eminem trying to be the 4th Migo though? It is kind of interesting. Eminem was critical about the new sound of rap, but he did use that like Migos triplet staccato flow so many times, and it kind of suits him. It suits anyone. It's a great flow, but that's kind of a funny comment. Moving on to the sequel of Revival, Logic's Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. This was a very strange album from Logic because he sounded like he kind of lost his mind a couple times, especially on songs like Clickbait where he's talking about, you know, this. Let's see how people felt on day one. How do you change your Reddit username? Oh no. This album got a hot red flannel in its sights. Jesus. It's crazy how you really can't have a music discussion online without mentioning Fantano. That man has done some work. I don't give a damn about lyrics. Well, you really fucking should, Logic. I will say after Everybody, the quality of Logic's lyrics nosedived. Like, he was never really like that crazy of a lyricist. He had a great flow, but he could get off some good rhyme schemes here and there. I will say on No Pressure and Vinyl Days and College Park to an extent, he definitely improved again, but this album was whew. Clickbait is why Logic's wife left him. Jeez. I don't know how an artist gets worse with every album release, but it's impressive nevertheless. He really did improve after this. I think a lot of Logic's issue is that he wasn't in a really good album deal, which kind of forced him to put out a lot of music that was pretty mediocre. When we talk about Logic's discography and this being his worst album, we can't just glance over the Bobby Tarantino tapes. I don't know why those were as big as they were, but man, a lot of stuff from those albums is worse than this. Logic got out-rapped by every feature, including Will Smith. I forgot Will Smith was on this album, man. What is even happening? Who would have thought bad albums are bad no matter when you look at the comments? I still think Reddit's much more easygoing than something like Twitter. Man, people are vicious on Twitter, especially on album release day. Even if it's as bad as one of these albums, Twitter will make it seem like you'll get actually injured if you listen to those albums. You guys let me know if you actually enjoy some of these albums, and let me know what your defense is, I guess. Maybe next video we'll talk about more classic albums or more worse albums. You guys let me know. Anyway, thanks for watching. What's the Buzz is out.